Welcome to From Head to Heart and Home, a channel created by women for women to take intentional action to create the life you want. With your hosts, Shanda Soretti, certified transformational coach, and Carla Center, subconscious healer and relationship coach. So today we're going to talk about everyday leadership. And I'm super excited about this because I sometimes think that people don't necessarily realize what leadership entails and how much they are in leadership in their lives or not necessarily in leadership in their lives. And it's a super exciting topic for me because when I really got into leadership and really started noticing when I was and wasn't in leadership, it made a big difference in my life. And I'm excited to hear what Shanda brings in and what I bring in, and just to share with you and guide you guys as leaders like you are.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a beautiful topic, and I love the idea of like sharing the everydayness of leadership. I know for myself personally, before I learned what leadership was, I kind of almost felt like it was something that was reserved for business owners, entrepreneurs, people who had like stature, right? And it's not true. It's for every single person. And whether we know it, like Carla was saying, we all have the opportunity to step into our leadership, whether we realize it or not, right? In some way, in some capacity, we are leaders, whether we're parents, whether we're caregivers, whether we are a supervisor, a manager, we're leading in some way. And if nothing else, we're leading our own lives. So we are a leader, right? So really learning, first of all, kind of what leadership is, what it means, and how you can really flex into that in your life and where it can take your life is super exciting.
Right. And I know for me, I thought that leadership was being in charge, controlling, and many of us think that's what leadership is. And so I would be in a job and I would be a leader, whether I was conscious of it or not. And then when it came on to them asking me to be a leader, I'm like, ooh, I don't want to. Leaders have to be mean. Leaders have to be in control. I had all these ideas of what a leader had to be when I was doing it already, but I was shaming myself for like the things I didn't want to do and what I thought I had to do to be a leader, which wasn't leadership at all.
Hmm. Yeah. You're making me think of like these expectations, or even what I was kind of hearing you say was your previous limiting beliefs on what being a leader meant, what
Right.
leadership meant. So the expectations around titles, right? Being like, oh, well,
Right.
I might naturally do this thing, but as soon as somebody dubs you with a title, it's like we all these limiting beliefs and thoughts come flooding in, right?
Right.
So essentially, I think, the simplest way that I could probably explain what leadership is to me is it's really stepping into your life in an intentional way with the idea of creating alignment with
Right.
not just yourself, because leadership is definitely more to do with the whole picture, but it starts with you, right? So creating alignment within yourself, right? And then externalizing that and creating alignment around you, right? With the things that are occurring in your life and are happening in your life. Yeah. So, I mean, that the concepts or the ideas that come, the words that come to mind for me are things like responsibility and ownership come hand in hand when you talk about leadership. And those were some big learning aha moments for me when exploring leadership with you, Carla, back when we took our course together.
Right.
And it was life changing. Like, it was really empowering, first of all, to learn, oh, wow, like there's a lot of room here that I'm not even aware that exists, that I have capacity to flex into these areas and step into my leadership, whether it's from an entrepreneurial standship or from just like a regular citizen who's going about her day to day, is regardless learning to take ownership in my life regardless of what area it is, and learning to take responsibility no matter what category or what area of life we're talking about is super powerful.
Right. And like Shanda and I say quite often, you can be right or you can be happy. And that is leadership, because if you allow somebody to share their perspective and their understanding, and then you share yours, we can expand together, because maybe they have a piece and maybe you have a piece. And then you just expand, and the two of you can learn together. And that's real leadership.
Mm,
Leadership isn't, I know it all, you have to follow me and do things exactly how I do them. Leadership is learning, expanding, being accountable, being responsible, and just going, you know what? Sometimes I don't always know the right thing, but I am so willing to learn. So willing to be open
mm,
to expand what I know and to share with you, and you share with me, and us to create something beautiful together, and not be like, I'm better than you, you're better than me comparison. It's working together. Leadership is working together. And like Shanda said, responsible for my stuff, and being like, okay, I understand what I know, but I'm willing to see what you know and see how we can expand each other together.
yeah, I love what you're saying about leadership being a willingness to learn. And I think that's really important because I remember growing up and seeing business owners in this place of um, not able or willing to say, hey, I don't know everything, and ask for help when needed. And it really created a lot of hardship in those businesses, right? And in the success of those businesses. Um, and in people's personal lives as well. So being able to say, "Hey, I'm not too proud to say I don't know everything," right? I know what I know, but I'm so interested in learning what you know. Like you said, that's how we expand, evolve, and reach that next version of ourselves is by learning, right? And so we can't just stay in our own bubble if we want to learn and grow. We need to have contact with people who know things we don't know, who have experienced things we haven't experienced, so that we can exchange stories and exchange lessons so that maybe we take that next step um, in learning the things we don't know. And maybe not even meeting people who you're like, oh, wait, hang on a second. I don't want to do that, or I don't want to have that experience, or that thing's not for me, right? Like
Right.
it's an opportunity to decide, do I want this or not in my life whenever we interact with people. Again, leadership coming back to it's an opportunity for choice, right? It's an opportunity to take control of your life to the fullest capacity of what you're able to, right? It's like saying, "Hey, listen, here are all my cards up on the table, and this is kind of my plan of action. And if it doesn't go the way that I thought it would, that's also okay because I know I'm resourceful as a leader, as having leadership in my own life."
Right. And being compassionate and loving towards yourself. Because
Yeah.
one of the ways that sometimes we're not showing leadership is, I should, I have to, I need to, because somebody else has taught us that's what it is. And leadership is stepping outside of all these things that we have believed up until now we had to do.
Hmm.
It's trusting your gut, like Shanda was just saying, like, is this right for me? Is it not? Somebody else said it was, but you know what? It doesn't feel right for me. Not because I'm afraid, but because I feel like I need to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And this is beautiful. It doesn't make somebody else wrong or me better than them. It means that I'm just meant to veer a different way, to learn something different, and maybe expand upon that, or them expand upon it. It's just all, really, leadership is expansion and learning, and having love and compassion for yourself as you're like learning all these new things, and maybe it didn't go the way you thought or the way somebody else told you it should, but going, okay, I'm accountable for this. This is my responsibility. What do I learn from it? I don't need to beat me up or beat them up, but be like, okay, this is what it is,
Hmm.
and not judging.
Yeah. And I feel like too, it's asking the question, who do I want to be?
Mhm.
Right? Who do I
Yes.
want to be in this world? Who do I want to show up as, and showing up as that version of yourself, right? Even before you've accomplished the thing, that whatever it is, whatever goal you have, being that person you want to become ahead of time, right? And again, like leadership is about making decisions for your life in your life, knowing that you have full capacity and control over what your life is. So if you don't like how your life looks and the results that you've created, I'm like, that's not a bad thing. We now know that, hey, okay, I don't enjoy what I'm experiencing, and I'm learning that I have the choice to change that, to do something about it. Leadership is like stepping up and being like, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. Maybe these are my boundaries, right? So it's really like staking claim on your life and what you want to make of it.
Right. Right. And the stepping into the unknown, like we talk about all the time, that is so much leadership because it's like, okay, I don't know how this is going to turn out. However, it turns out, I take full accountability for what happens in my life, but I
Mm,
am so willing to step into the unknown and create something different and not say, well, these were my circumstances. Somebody told me to do this. There's no victim in it.
right.
I'm just stepping into something new,
Hmm.
whatever that can mean. It can be the most amazing thing, and or it could just be a big lesson that veers me off in a different direction that leads me to something else. No matter what it is, I'm excited to see where it leads me.
Yeah. And I think too, like we always talk about, when there's excitement, there's also fear. So knowing that along with leadership comes an aspect of fear, right? Whether it's using your voice and speaking up or taking action like you haven't before, or, doing things that you like in a different way, right? Trying something different. These are all things and actions that will bring up fear, but fear is going to be there regardless, right? So not allowing the fear to dictate the actions you do or do not take. Just know that fear will be there and that's okay. And staying connected to what the leadership role means to you, what's on the other side of stepping into that, what can your life look like on the other side of it. So instead of staying focused on, maybe all the resistance and fear, that's the obstacles that are blocking you, it's focusing on what do you get on the other side of it, right?
Right.
What's the benefit of saying yes, I'm going to do this, and stepping into that role within your life.
Right. Right. Because any of the great leaders that we look at that have like made different changes in our world, they stepped into fear. Guaranteed they stepped into fear.
Mm,
And every one of them stumbled at some point. Everybody stumbled. And then they don't look at it like poor me or it was the circumstances or looking at all the reasons. They're like, okay, what can I learn from this? Figuring out what you can learn when things don't go the way you had planned is very leadership because you're like, okay, what can I learn from this? This isn't, I'm not, it doesn't have to be like, oh, this was horrible, this happened. It can be like, what can I learn from it? What is this the thing that I learned from this that can push me forward, that can propel me forward, not keep me where it is and not trying more.
right. Yeah. So talking about like the lessons that we can get when we step into that leadership role, it automatically opens you up to seeing that opportunity, to having those opportunities be present. And it's like, I love the saying, we're either winning or we're learning, right? So there's no failure, there's no losing,
No.
right? Like if we can just reframe that. And I'm not saying like everybody wins, but what I'm saying is that even in the failure, there's lessons and there's learning. So you're not losing, you're still learning, right? And that's where the evolution and the growth comes from. And leadership also means being open and willing to evaluate. So, what I mean here is like when we take actions, whether it's in a business or in our personal life, when we take action, is it working? Is it not working? Right. And actually being able to step back and evaluate the process that we're going through. So, what is working? What isn't working? And what can I change? What can I do differently? And again, learning from our actions. If something is working, keep doing it. If something is not working, don't keep doing it. Tweak it, adjust it, throw it out, try something new. Right? It's
Mhm.
it's again, it's all about it's like broadening your horizon, opening up, expanding, like you were saying, Carla, right? Like leadership is expansive and it's
Right.
exciting and it's empowering and it's a whole lot of things, and
Mhm.
the 50-50 comes along with that, so it can be scary, it can be hard, it can be
Mhm.
frustrating, it can be daunting, it can be confusing, it can be all the things, but so is everything else, right? It's like we can step into the leadership, we can reclaim our lives, we can really get in the driver's seat, take our life where we want it to go, or right? And be willing to take the risks that come along with that. Or we can lay on the couch, eating potato chips, watching Netflix, and feeling bad about how our lives look and where we're at, and being willing to be okay with not taking risks. Right? So there's good and bad, positive and negative with every decision. And I think it comes down to weighing it out for yourself. Either way isn't right or wrong. Either way is perfect for you. If you're like, I'm okay with spending my life watching Netflix on the couch, I have no problem about it. That's totally fine. Other people will not have that same desire to do that. They'll want something else, and it's fine. But it's being okay with your choice at the end of the day.
Right. Right. And noticing that your choice is your choice and you can make a different choice tomorrow, like we say often.
Mhm.
Leadership is looking back and going, okay, I made these choices. If I want to judge them good or bad, that's up to me. But they were my choices. What have I learned from it? And how can I move forward to create what I want in my life? And
Mhm.
like Shanda said, maybe that is, laying on the couch and eating chips and watching Netflix. But maybe you want to go in a direction you never thought, like you've always been afraid. For some reason, it keeps coming to your mind. You're not sure why. You're like, I don't know why I was drawn to this. And then
Mm.
you're like, maybe I'll take a step. And maybe it's not going to turn out how somebody else told me it should. That doesn't mean that it's bad or that it's wrong, but I'm leading myself into a different direction. I'm leading myself in a direction that I'm drawn to for some reason. I can't explain it. It doesn't need to be explained. I don't have to give an excuse to somebody else why I'm making a different choice. I get to just be like, okay, this is for me. I get to lead myself this way. Why? Because I just want to see where it goes.
Mhm. Yeah. And so like what comes up for me here is answering that nagging call, right? Whether it's I want to take this trip, whether it's I want a career change, whether it's I want to create a health goal, whatever those things are that are reoccurring, those are those calls, those nagging calls that you get to answer. And it requires you to step up into your leadership, right? Again, because leadership is taking control of your life, taking ownership of your life. And when we take ownership of our lives, we're able to create so much more. We can blow our own mind. And the coolest thing I think about like when we decide to answer a call or create a goal, when we declare the goal that we're setting out to create, this is fascinating. When we declare it, we already transform our lives. We've already shifted our identity into becoming the person who goes after and creates that goal.
Right.
So just by declaring a goal, you change your life, right? So again, leadership can feel heavy depending on how you want to look at it, but look how exciting it can be. Look what it can bring to your life. Look what it can deliver if you're willing to answer those calls.
Right. And leadership can also feel light when when you end up really taking a look at I all these victim things, like this happened in my life because of this person, this is happening because of my circumstances, and all of that can be really heavy and weigh you down and make you feel like you have no choice but to stay where you are. And then when you're like, okay, I'm going to step out of this, I'm going to try and look at things in a different way, find the lessons in whatever I've been through in my life and learn from it instead of making it be some heaviness that holds me down.
Mm,
This is why Shanda does transformational stuff. This is why I do subconscious healing, because sometimes those limiting beliefs and the things that we've been through can weigh us down. And then when somebody can help us free up that, and then we're like, what if I stepped into something new? What if I all of a sudden took leadership and said, okay, something great came from all of this stuff that I thought buried me, because now I can step up on top of it and past it
Mm,
and not let it weigh me down anymore and feel free to create something new,
mm,
to create this life that I never thought was possible for me. Because now I'm like, okay, yeah, that happened, but what can I learn from it? Like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna let it destroy me. I
mm.
won't let it destroy me because there are so many more possibilities in front of me than what I just went through.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, um, being an advocate for your life and
Right,
for other people like you, right?
right,
Other people who are going through the same thing as you. It's like standing up and being an advocate for you
right,
and for others and for the
right.
world. And I'm like, that is really cool. Right. So, I mean, it's your choice how you want to look at it and what you want to pull out of this conversation that we're sharing with you today. But I will say, even though there may be aspects and parts that are difficult because they're new and they're challenging, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not a reason to turn back and not follow through with stepping into it, right? Wholly. It's like the opportunity to really just create the life that you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And you know what? The truth is that anybody can do it.
Mhm.
And that's why we share these every week, new things, because we know you can do it. That we know that at some points, leadership or any of the other topics we go over can feel difficult and can feel heavy, but we know that you can do it and we believe in you. And the more we teach you to be loving and compassionate toward yourself and not just others, the more that we get to know that you are stepping into that life that you always wanted,
Mm.
and which is beautiful. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. Yes. I love it.
But is there anything else you wanted to share about leadership, Shanda?
No, I feel like I've shared kind of what's on the tip of my tongue so far. Just really driving home the title of this conversation today, everyday leadership, right? So this isn't like a one and done thing. This isn't like for specific people. This is for everyday people and this is for people every day, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, just remember, guys, that every decision you make, there is a lesson in it. You can be a leader in anything in your life, and it doesn't have to be about controlling. It's just about I'm creating more and more every day, and
Mm,
I'm learning from it. So if you have not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Share if there's anybody you think that could benefit from this. And we have all kinds of topics if you're new to our channel. So just look through and find episodes that really would resonate with you. And maybe some you think will resonate with somebody else. So absolutely share, because we're here to support you and guide you. And we love to hear your thoughts. So don't forget to comment too.
mm.
And until next time, bye bye.
Bye.